Hi, welcome to Photoshop Lightroom TV. I'm your host Marek Mularczyk from sitetrain.co.uk and welcome to another exciting episode of Photoshop Lightroom TV. Last week we had a contest and we'll talk about it later on, what the question was and what the answer should be. Now I've got some more exciting videos for you. Now let me start with some great news. You have seen me talking about Adobe TV before. Adobe TV is a fantastic place to learn about all the technologies that Adobe covers. Fantastic, fabulous place for graphic designers, web designers, photographers. Lots of videos from people from Adobe instructors, and from people who write books about Adobe. And now I've got my own show on Adobe TV. This is great news. Marek's Mastering Techniques on Adobe TV. Anything in Photoshop, Lightroom and Adobe Bridge as well. I cover loads of things in here. There's a couple of videos on the site already and we'll be adding more and more videos every few days. Okay, now the link, you'll find the link here on the bottom. Otherwise just navigate to Adobe TV, tv.adobe.com, and then go to either Photoshop or Bridge or Lightroom and you'll find me in there on the list of shows. Okay, so that's great news. Now let's start with our first tutorial. In our first tutorial I'm going to show you how to use Color Calibrator, because I've been asked by many people, how do I use the Color Calibrator? How am I going to calibrate my monitor? So I'm going to show you how I use my Color Calibrator. I use ColorVision Spider. So let's have a look on that and I'll show you how to use that. Okay, let me show you how we can calibrate the monitor. I'm using the ColorVision Spider, this calibrator. I'm still using Spider 2, which is just fine. First I'm going to plug it in a USB port. Yes, I'm just plugging it here. Once it's plugged in, I'm going to start the software. So I'll go to my Start menu and then All Programs, and I'll start the software that comes with the ColorVision Spider, ColorVision and Spider 2 Express. Okay, this will start. Okay, what I'm doing here is I'm recalibrating the monitor. It's just telling me that it's time to recalibrate it, because I'll set it up to calibrate every month. So let's press OK. The steps will be exactly the same. So this software will run Spider 2. Okay, now you just read what it says. It just says that this will create a new calibration for you, so just click next, next, yeah. Okay, I'm going to continue with these settings. These are the settings I use. If you do it for the first time, you won't see that. Then I'll do next. Do you have the controls on the display? I don't. I only have one for backlight, so I'm going to check that. Then I'll click next to move on. And that's what the monitor actually looks like when it's not calibrated. So even now here you can see the difference between before and after. I'll click next and then next as well. Okay, and now it shows me what I'm going to do. I'll click continue, and now I need to position the calibrator here. So I'm going to move. There's a counterweight element here that goes on the other side of the screen, so I'll just put it here. Then I'll put it hanging directly on this spot. Doesn't have to be exactly the same, just very close. Okay, and I'll click continue, and the software will start running, and the Spider will start calibrating the monitor using all shades of black, grey, and red, green, and blue, and it's just calibrating. Okay, and it takes about 5 minutes to calibrate the monitor. So I'm going to show you what it does in just a moment when it's done. So I'm going to pause for a moment. When it's done, you're going to see this message here. It says you may now remove the Spider from the display. So I'm going to remove that. Okay, we don't need that anymore. And I'll click next. You can give it a name. I'm going to leave the name on the default. This is the name for the profile that's going to be created by Spider. Next. And it now has calibrated. That's fine. Next. And now you can see before and after. That's before and it's after. A massive difference, and not just in terms of color but also in terms of contrast and brightness. A massive difference. I'm going to click next. Now what do we want to do next? I want to quit. I don't want to calibrate it again. I'm going to click next to exit the window. Next time when you start your computer, the calibrator will load the color profile that was created during the calibration process. And that's how you calibrate your monitor. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Welcome again. It's Marek Mularczyk on PhotoshopLightroomTV. PhotoshopLightroomTV. Another episode 31 or 32. Remember, there's so many shows. Welcome again. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial in Spider on using color calibrator. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, just go to sidetrain.co.uk and drop me an email from the website, or visit me on PhotoshopLightroomBridge.co.uk for the blog, all the latest news, tips, tricks and techniques in Photoshop, Lightroom and Bridge. I'll bring you all the latest news and all the interesting techniques, not just from myself, but from the other users as well. Okay. Right, now let's move on. Today I've got two more tutorials for you, one in Lightroom and one in Bridge. Okay, let's start with the Lightroom tutorial, and we'll talk about exporting slideshows within Adobe Photoshop Lightroom. I'll be using Lightroom 3, how to take a lot of images and export them as a slideshow, and I'm going to point to some new features in Lightroom 3, some new exciting features. So let's jump into Lightroom. Okay, just so you remember me, I'm Marek Mularczyk from sidetrain.co.uk, one of the UK leading specialists in Adobe Certified training, and in this video I'm going to show you how to create a slideshow, export a slideshow within Lightroom, Adobe Photoshop Lightroom. I'm using Lightroom 3. I've already selected some images I want to use. I've selected 20 images, and now I'm going to move into the slideshow module. Okay. On the left hand side you see the preview area and also template browser. There's a couple of templates that ship with Lightroom that you can use. For example, caption rating. When you roll over it you see the preview, crop to fill, default, EXIF metadata and widescreen. I'm going to use the default to start with. Okay, and now I'll move to the right hand side, and there's a number of options here. Zoom to fill frame. Okay. If you don't mind losing a bit of your image, that's fine. In this case I'm going to deselect it because I want to see all whole images. Okay. Now stroke border, I'm going to make border slightly bigger. I'll make it about 3 pixels, let's see, and I'm going to make it slightly brighter, a shade of grey. Okay, this is the border here. Cast shadow, I'm going to leave that. Now for the layout, I can see the guides here and I can move them. So I'm going to move this guide. I can also move them here visually. So that's okay. So you can see more of the image. For identity plate, I'm going to customize it. So I'm going to click on here and choose edit to change the text to Dartmoor National Park. Okay. Then I'm going to highlight it. Don't worry if you don't see the whole text. I'm going to change the font to italic, and I'll make that bigger. Oh no, 36 is good, and I'll just press OK. I can still scale it using the scale option here. So I'm going to make it slightly bigger, let's say about 15%. Okay, it's in here. I can also move it. It doesn't have to stay in the top left corner, so I'm going to move it here to the center. Okay, looks good. I'll scroll down. I don't need a watermark. I don't want to see the rating stars. Note for the slideshow. Text overlays is fine. Then backdrop. You can change the color of the backdrop. By default it's black, but you can easily change it by clicking here. I'm going to leave it on black. That looks good. Then you can add background image if you want to. In this case I'm not going to add a background image, but I'm going to show you what it does. I'll click on it here, and it says drag background image from film strip to here. So I can take any of the images, for example this one here, and just drag and drop it here, and I've got the image in the background. I would probably lower its opacity, or would actually change the background color to white. So create an interesting effect when I'll start lowering the opacity. Let's say to about 30%. Okay. Something interesting to use. I'm not going to use in this case, so I'm going to deselect the background image, and I'll change the background color back to black. Okay, now I'll scroll down, and I'm going to add an intro screen, the first screen that will appear on a slideshow. Again, I'm going to customize it, change it, and I'm going to type in here Marek Mularczyk photography, anything. Yeah. And like once again, I'm going to highlight. I'll just press OK, and I'll scale it, make it bigger. Oop, I made a mistake, so I'm going to edit it again. Okay, just going to I'm just going to type it again. Marek Mularczyk photography. I'll make it bold as well. Oh, first I need to highlight it, and I'll make it bold, and I'll press OK. Now I'll scroll down, and I'm going to add a sound here as well. I'm going to select the music, and I'm going to select something I've got here, Adagio for Strings by Barber, and I'll click Fit to Music so that Lightroom can fit the slides to last for as long as the music plays. So we're going to set it to 3.9 seconds for the slides and 2.5 seconds to fades. And then I'm going to export the video. And now in Lightroom 3 you can export videos as MP4 files and also as a full HD. In this case I'm going to use standard HD 720p, and I'll call it slideshow, and I'm going to save it on my desktop, and I'll click save. And that's how you create slideshows within Lightroom 3. Thank you for watching. Did you enjoy the tutorial in Lightroom? Of course you did. Lightroom is an amazing application, a fantastic application for photographers, the best one. And there's so many exciting features that will have many more tutorials quite soon. Okay, now let's get back to Photoshop Lightroom Bridge in just a moment, and then we'll move on to another tutorial in Adobe Bridge. PhotoshopLightroomTV.co.uk, this is my blog, and on my blog you'll find all the latest news from Adobe, all kinds of tips, tricks and tutorials, and not just from myself but also from all around the world. I browse through the web looking for the best resources for you to keep them all in one place, so you'll find loads of videos, tips and tricks from people like Terry White or the other Adobe evangelists and writers about Adobe. So this is the best place, PhotoshopLightroomBridge.co.uk, for all the tips, tricks and tutorials about anything Photoshop, Lightroom and Bridge for photographers, graphic designers and web designers. Now let's move on to Adobe Bridge. This time I'm going to show you a tutorial on creating collections, working with collections within Adobe Bridge. If you've used Lightroom, you may be familiar with collections, because we use collections in Lightroom in a similar way. Now let's see how we can do it with Adobe Bridge, because remember, Bridge ships with Photoshop, it ships with Creative Suite, so you have Bridge already, and many people don't really use that. So let's see what Bridge can do in terms of creating collections. On the right, in the bottom left corner, you should see the Collections panel next to Filter and Export View. So in the Collections panel, if you look in the bottom right corner, there are three icons here. A bin icon and two icons that look like suitcases, and one of these has a plus sign next to it. This icon creates a new collection. So I'm going to click on it to create a new collection here inside Adobe Bridge CS5. Because I have some images selected, Adobe Bridge will ask me whether I want to include these images in a new collection. I'll click yes. Now these images are inside of a collection and I can give it a name. So I'm going to call it Best Images, just as an example, because I'm going to use some other images as well. So I've got Best Images collection with 16 images. Now, collections can be used in Adobe Bridge CS4 as well, but what's new in Bridge CS5 is the feature that shows you a number of files within your collection, the 16 number in the brackets. This is new in Bridge CS5. It's another big improvement, subtle but very important improvement in Creative Suite 5. Now I'm going to jump into another folder. So I'll go back to my pictures, and let's say Brecon Beacons folder. And I'm going to use some of these images here as well. Now this time I'm going to select one of the images, for example this one here. This is actually a raw image, CR2, and I'm going to drag and drop it into my collection, just like that. And as you can see the plus sign next to the cursor. Now I've got 17 images here, and maybe one more. Let's see, I'm not sure, I'll just use maybe this one here. I'll just drag and drop it into collection as well. Okay. Now what Bridge is doing here is it keeps a track of the location of the files on my hard drive. So as you can see, you can create collections from loads of different images, different folders, different locations on your hard drive. And now when I click on collection, I can see 18 images, 2 images from one folder, 16 images from the other folder. Some of them are JPEGs, there's a PSD, and there are CR2 files here as well. So that's how you create collections. Okay, this was the tutorial in Adobe Bridge on working with collections. I hope you enjoyed it. Now this is the end of our show. Last week we had a contest, and to find out what the answer to the contest question was, go to PhotoshopLightroomBridge.co.uk and you find it in there. You also find out if you won. I hope you won. I had fabulous prizes. I know the question was really tough. So next time I'm going to have a really easy question for you on another contest. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching. I'm Marek Mularczyk from SciTraining.co.uk, one of the UK's leading specialists in Adobe Certified training. All the details on SciTraining.co.uk. I hope you enjoyed it. This was Photoshop Lightroom Bridge. No, this was Photoshop Lightroom TV. And thank you for watching. I'll see you next week. Bye bye.